Transition into Destroying Christian Dogma Part 7. Those of you who haven't had a chance to catch up, last week we brought out that if you go into these Greco-Roman schools, you're going to get Greco-Roman education. And if you check all the crests of these schools that we went through, their crests are Greco-Roman crests. Here's Duke University. You see that shield there. That's not Hebraic. That's not an Israelite custom. The ribbon there is in Latin or something. So that's what we pretty much was highlighting last week. These theologians going to these seminaries and they think they have education because they done went to someone's school and now you're going to go to graduation with a square cap on your head. Why are you wearing a square cap on your head? Oh, because you got a Masonic education? Because you have a degree of education? Exactly. So that's one of the things we was highlighting last week, mainly that just because you go to their schools don't mean you've been educated. Now, we don't shun education. If you have a dream or a passion, we got to survive over here. You want to get your culinary certificate, we're going to support you. But we know you didn't need their school to cook. We don't taste the fruit of your word. You know what I mean? But if you got a dream or a passion, pursue it, family. Most High bless you with the money or means. Go ahead and get that training to pursue your passion over here. Just know that you can't bring it inside an Israelite community thinking that you're going to have understanding. That's all we're trying to bring out, family. So part 7, if y'all be with us, I don't think it's going to take that long. I think it's only 3 or 4 slides, but I'm not in a rush. I don't have no power at the house, so it's better here, right? So part 7 of Textual of Destroying Christian Dogma, I just want to introduce to some and just rehearse for others how textual criticism works. And it seems like a fancy term. You sound like, oh, textual criticism. Family, we're born with textual criticism. It's common sense. Someone told you they bought a pair of Jordans for $80. You'll be like, yeah, there's some knockoffs. That's textual criticism. So we'll apply that same common sense to text we're reading. You're telling me Moses wrote this text, but Moses said that he had a cell phone? Like, that ain't making sense. That's the level of that's the textual criticism we're going to go through. And today we're just going to introduce a little bit of it to help bring out that you can no longer open up this Bible and quote all these verses to me and think you're giving me a good breakdown. I listened to a Christian apologist last night, not trying to debate him, really trying to get some understanding and make sure we're not wrong. And I listened to not his whole class. I kept turning both eyes. I'm only taking in clips. I'm like, oh, okay, they just preaching and preaching. But he was on a rant how people want to stay with the law. People stuck on Mount Sinai. And you stuck on Mount Sinai, you're rejecting Jesus. I'm like, bro, every script you're pulling is just Christianity. So it's Christians like that we want to help. But it's also Hebrews. We got Hebrew Israelites going around debating people and even jumping on other Israelites, swearing to give you a great breakdown, and you don't even know the language that the Bible was written on. So that's the whole purpose of this class. What you're looking at on the screen, family, this is an old papyrus of Greek. And this is how the Septuagint came about. Our ancestors who were bilingual, they took the actual text of our scrolls and they completed the Greek Septuagint that our ancestors who were growing up in Greek Egypt can learn the Torah, learn how to please Yah. And because it was finally translated into another language, it did open up the floodgates for the pagans to come in and read. And the pagans, some of the pagans, family, were good pagans. And they was like, man, this stuff is making sense. Like, why should I keep bringing this food to this dumb idol and the same food is here in the morning? Like, so some pagans like, yeah, this is making, but what these Hebrews are doing is making sense. Their power is in the sky invisible, and this idol's letting bats defecate on this your God with bat doodle on him. So some pagans was like, man, I'm glad the Hebrews wrote this in Greek and it's making sense. And that's when you get some true pagans leaving those idols, trying to plead to us, but then they got muddied up when they wanted to take over and now these pagans start giving you what Moses really meant. Now you went too far. Now you went too far. So because of our disobedience, most of what we're getting has been in the hands of pagans trying to tell us what our Father was really saying to our elders. It's like, wait, slow down a minute. Like, something ain't adding up. So all of y'all heard that phrase, drawing a blank here. You ever heard that saying, all roads lead to Rome? Anybody ever heard that saying? All roads lead to Rome? Some scholars actually did a map, and they said, if you really think about it, that saying is sort of true, that you can get to Rome on that part of the world. Not, of course, be over the ocean, but on this part of the world, it's like you could find a route from Rome to all over that part of Europe, and then down where we're from in Africa. And so the saying, all roads lead to Rome, it makes sense when you're the victor, when you don't beat everybody down, to the victor goes the spoil. You're telling the story. For years, you've been having me study history if I want to get out of high school. So now we got to learn history to graduate. Turns out we wasn't learning history, we was learning his story. So this image is true if you were European, if you're Italian. Yeah, we everything started with us. We had to, what's that word they taught us in school? We had to, the Crusades, and we had to, what's that word they use? To tame the heathens. What's that word they use, y'all? Not convert. Not convert, civilize. Yeah, we had to civilize the savage. You guys in school thinking like they went to Africa to civilize us. And then we looked around, you showed us the savages, and they look like me and you. So we gotta be thank the good Lord, Rome conquered the world to civilize us savages.
And we're foolish enough to be like, yeah, man, I would have never known my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And they not came and enslaved my people. Are you listening to yourself?
We would have kept eating people and being cannibals, if not for the good Lord sending the Romans.
Like, even if you read your Bible, he doesn't talk about it. Like, we was told not to eat people. We was told not to eat blood. They still eat blood. The God that we say we follow say, hey, better burn that cook.
And they said, well, what have y'all been reading? The good Romans have civilized the world, and thank God he sent the Romans. This is European trash. This is Eurocentric ideology, and it's creeped inside the church. And now these brothers don't respect us because we ain't been a seminary. That's why we brought out them seminaries have Greco-Roman shields and crests. So you're saying the same thing these people saying. If it wasn't for the Europeans, we won't have no information.
Paul said his teachers were dumb.
Dumb.
He was studied in law. He knew several languages. They say he looked like an Egyptian. They were like, how do you know our language?
Or can thou speak Egyptian? So our ancestors, man. Going back to that peer review thing. Have your article been peer reviewed? Has your book been peer reviewed? Family, it is what it is. I cannot not tell you this. When Moses was leading us, nothing he was doing was peer reviewed. When Isaiah and Jeremiah and Obadiah and them was writing those thus said, that wasn't peer reviewed. We come from a nation that get direct revelation from on high. That's just who we are. That's just who we are, family. So the alphabet proves that all roads don't lead to Rome. The alphabet proves that all roads are coming from Judea, from Israel, because this is the progression of language, of speech that we see today. The first line is Proto-Sinaitic. Proto-Sinaitic is what that Dr. Petrovich was saying. Ephraim and Manasseh gave you this. And when you see that ox head, it's not a word that you pronounce. You just pronounce the first sound. See that square box is representing the house, and the Hebrew has a word bayat. So we don't say bayat for that letter, you just say ba. But look at the transition when we get down to the English. You can see y'all sounds are coming from us. Y'all sounds are coming from us. So Martin Luther, the good German, he gives you not Martin Luther, I'm sorry, Jerome. Jerome, who y'all made a saint, gave you the good Vulgate. Vulgates come from their word vulgar. And now you and I, we hear vulgar, we think of bad speech. But in their day, vulgar means just common speech. So he wrote the Bible in common speech that the poor people can read it in. And this is Jerome's Latin Vulgate. But as you get away from the root, you lose the essence of what's being said. And our ancestors tell us that. Here's Martin Luther, good German Bible. Y'all remember last week we put out Martin Luther, a German from way up here. You get our scrolls and you want to write your version in German, but you don't think James' epistle should be included in your Bible. James, the brother of Mashiach, he shouldn't be considered authentic in your German Bible. Martin Luther, who are you? You have nothing to do with Israel. So this is the thinking. This is the thinking that these Christians had. They want to make everything black and white. It's not about black and white. Are the original speakers black? It's obvious. It's obvious. The white people are saying it. So when you try to learn Israelite culture through these other countries, you're moving away from the root. It's obvious that these Europeans, and no, the first Europeans the first Europeans were not white, family. The research supports that. Anybody seen that image of Cheddar Man out there? Cheddar Man? The good scientists, the good doctors and scholars, they have come up with an image of the first European. They call him Cheddar Man. Cheddar Man is dark as me, has blue eyes, and he has Egyptian silky hair, like wavy hair, like our people do, like a Somalian. So we're not making this a black and white thing. We're making this a truth thing. You dark Europeans received your speech from dark Judeans, dark Shemitic people, and it's all over your language. So just for support, let's read the prologue to Ecclesiasticus.
Oh man, I was just looking at that.
All praises. All praises.
I got it pulled up. I was about to read it. Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew, Ibar, and translated into another tongue, English, have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself, and the prophets, and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language. For in the 8th and 30th year coming into...
That's the next sentence. But just where Chef was going to, everything I just said, I have something to support. I didn't get up here that you all wound up with some black pride and we the people and black people rule. No, it's just common sense. The oldest mummy was found in Ethiopia. Your language, your English language has progressed through Latin, through Greek, and then the Greeks, you idolize the Greeks. The Greeks got their language from us. So when you start learning the Bible, going to Bible college, and your seminary school got all those Greco-Roman crests, you're way off from the root. Even calling us Hebrews show that you've been colonized. So we're not Hebrews, we are the Arbaria. It shows that you've been colonized. Family, we have no allies here. And just to give you an image, this is what happened. This is how they came up with that word Hebrew. Remember that ha is a definite article for the, and then those three glyphs together make up Ibar. The pagans saw our glyphs, said hi Ibar, and they just said Hebrew, came up with a word Hebrew. No one in our ancient times know anything about a Hebrew. None of our enemies know anything about Hebrew. They know about Jacob's sons they know about Abraham's sons, and they know about Ibar's sons. So this is the level we have to go through if you want to break free. If you want to break free. Take us to the verse so people understand what I'm saying. Let's go to Genesis 14, just so you understand what I'm saying. If I'm not making sense, fam, if I go too fast, I get excited about this stuff. Y'all slow me down.
Genesis 14 and 13.
Jamai?
And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Emorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. This is where they got the word Hebrew from. They read this story, but when you put this story back into the original pictographs, like we did here on the screen, you're going to see the ha. Now, I separated, I put a gap intentional so you can see the distinction, but like the Dr. Petrovich says, he says that you wouldn't know, if you wasn't a Hebrew, you wouldn't know where the word break at, because we just wrote together. So I separated the ha so y'all can see, but these pagans not knowing our culture, they seen that ha next to that I and next to that, and they just said, they come up with a word, oh, Abram the Hebrew. No, he was the Ibar, the son of Ibar. Does that make sense to anybody? That makes sense to anybody? Any comments or questions about that? Shamaria, I know you tied down. If you want to type something or send something, I'm trying to monitor the chat. Can you see the chat? Yeah, I got you. Okay, all praises. Chef is on the chat, so if you want to type something or ask something, Chef is monitoring the chat. So
I have a question. So Ibar, I think I've seen it in is it Eber that they sometimes translate that? That's what this, okay.
That's Eber's real name is Ibar. Great question. So this is just to set the tone to let you know we are deep behind enemy lines, and you have to shake off all the colonization if you really want to know the truth. That's what we're trying to do. I don't want anything coming from these Germans, from these Italians, and it's not a black or white thing. It's just that you don't have the root. Our ancestor says, listen, we translate because we do got brothers around the world. So, but just know that this ain't the real root of what I'm saying, because these other languages can't match us. That's the level of textual criticism that if y'all be with us, we're about to go through. So this is what I was saying earlier. I got ahead of myself. The Israelite, who, meaning you and I, we are not represented in any organized religion, school, or church. No one wants. I wish I was more mature earlier, and maybe I could have stopped this Christian Hebrew divide that's out there. Like I'm listening to these Christians, and y'all religion is full of love, and I'm gonna pray for them. And you say you're gonna pray for them, us Israelites, after you call us every name in the book and scoff us like we just retarded bastards. Then you say, oh, I'm just gonna pray for them. Bro, you really mean pray for me? You just scoffed me and belittled me because y'all put them ignorant ones up there to be the face of all of us. And now there's a great divide between us and the Christians. And I'm like, let's come to the table with some humility, brother, and let's go precept upon precept in context. And I show you that what you're saying ain't matching the book. Sure, if you have something.
I was just gonna add on to what you're saying. Like, people will call you out, call you adversary, and the next voice trying to back you up. I don't play like that, bro. Listen, get on my face.
Hey, I'm not mature like that yet. I listen. Y'all, I'm not putting on airs for y'all, being all righteous, so bless y'all. We're gonna pray for them. Listen, we are Judah, we are a royal tribe, we are a warrior tribe. We brought that out inside one of the Christianity classes. You're telling me to love my enemy, but Paul says, remember the blacksmith who did me much evil. Paul, what are you talking about? Remember, I thought you were gonna pray for him, Paul. Paul was like, I pray God, I forgot what he said, but pretty much he prayed God repays him how he did me. Our King Dawah, David says, Father, I pray you break my enemy's teeth. When you that stuff like, and then let's go to Hamashiach, because I try to keep the Christians on Hamashiach. Jesus, y'all call him Jesus, he's our common denominator, right? Let's see how Jesus taught. It's one verse, Nariah knows where it's at. I think it's John 26 or something. He's like, bring those in front of me who would not that I reign over them. Pretty
Luke
much.
19, Mariah. Luke 19.
Let's go there. Let's go to Luke 19. Let's see how Hamashiach taught. Let's see if Hamashiach prays for and forgives people. Because he's our common denominator. If I'm imitating him, hey, I should be in good company. Y'all can turn the light back. Can y'all see the TV? You can turn it back on.
Luke 19:27.
Bring it out.
That's one of my favorites too. I love it. I love it.
Bring it out.
Luke 19:27. And this goes, look, I'm gonna tell you something. This goes for anybody, including when the scripture says, not all Israel is Israel. So it's for them too. Even for our own people. First, because where does the judgment start with?
Israel.
His house. His house first. Right? Luke 19:27. But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring them hither and slay them before me.
Is that in
now,
red?
That's supposed to be in red.
I mean, that's what we see.
That's supposed to be in red. And the same one that's saying this is the austere man. The same one that's saying this is what the other scripture says. The father don't judge, but he gave that to his son. So it's the son that's judging you right here. You don't want me to reign over you. You don't want me to give you life. You don't want me to be your savior. You don't want me to set you up in your own kingdom.
You don't want to keep my law that my father gave me to. You don't want to keep the law that my father sent me to teach you.
Slay you.
Now, did y'all catch when he says, bring them hither and slay them? He says, slay them in front of me. That means he's not doing it. Who's doing it?
We are. Battle axe.
That's the book. Did y'all catch that? Read it again, Read it again. This is Luke 19:27.
Luke 19:27. This is your savior. Or for the other people that might see this later, this is your Jesus saying this. But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them. You an enemy if you don't want me to reign over you. Bring them here. I ain't gonna even go say hither. I'm gonna tell you the language that you understand. Bring them over here. Bring them here and slay them before me.
Slay them before me means he's just standing there. He's standing there and he's telling other men, slay them before me. That's us. That's the Israelites doing the work for him. This is the Jesus they don't teach in church.
So I guess would that go along with Ezekiel 25, 14? I will lay my vengeance on Edom by the hand of my people Israel, that they be Jew and Edom according to my anger and according to my fury. My vengeance, says the Lord.
Because that supports what Chef brought out. Go ahead.
51, 20 through 26. You are my battle axe.
There you go.
And weapons of war. For with you, I will break the nation in pieces. With you, I will destroy kingdoms.
55 and what out?
51, verse 20 through 26.
I got the whole chapter highlighted.
Yeah. Start back at the top. You are my battle axe and weapons of war. For with you, I will break nations in pieces. With you, I will destroy kingdoms. With you, I will break in pieces the horse and its rider. With you, I will break in pieces the chariot and its rider. With you, also will I break in pieces man and woman.
And women too?
And nobody except.
Women too.
Anybody can get it. With you, I will break in pieces old and young.
Old men and young children?
To the white meat, I'm busting their head. With you, I will break in pieces the young man and the maiden. With you, I will break in pieces the shepherd and his flock. With you, I will break in pieces the farmer and his yoke of oxen.
Mhm,
With you, I will break in pieces governors and rulers.
mhm.
And I will repay Babylon and all the inhabitants of Chaldea for all of the evil they have done in Zion in your sight, says the Most High. Behold, I am against you, O destroying mountain, who destroys all the earth, says the Most High. And I will stretch out my hand against you, roll you down from the rocks, and make you a burnt mountain.
Mm.
They shall not take from you a stone for a corner, nor a stone for a foundation, but you shall be desolate forever, says the Most High.
So this, we know this is a future prophecy that's for our generation, because when we returned home, we didn't destroy the other nations. The last time the Israelites returned home from Babylon, Cyrus let us go. Most High blessed his heart to let us go. We didn't fight no one. And then after that captivity, the next one was the Greeks. We didn't destroy the Greeks. The Romans destroyed the Greeks. So we've never beat down the nations and made them nothing no more. This is a future prophecy for you and I. You and I. This is what the church don't teach you.
So it makes sense that they want to tell you about Jesus and love. Bring it on in, because they know what this, they know this. They know what this means.
Come.
You're saying they know hidden books. This is that canon that you gave.
This is the canon that you say you accept. The Israelites never destroyed any of the nations who had them in bondage. Only nation that we on record we can say we destroyed was Egypt. But Abba did that. We didn't physically beat Egypt down. Abba did that to them. So the nations Moses destroyed, they didn't have us in captivity. The Most High was telling us to kill the nation. So all the nations who had us in captivity, we destroy these nations. Your king, Messiah, says, if you don't want me to reign over you, meaning you don't want to believe that the law that the Father gave me to give to y'all is still alive, that's what's going to keep you in good grace with him through me, bring them here. Let my brothers destroy these men. That's what these apologists don't understand. So, somebody got their hand up out? Are we muted again? Okay. Somebody has something? All right. So.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay.
That what you're saying brings to mind, and we've had times where we were told to do away with nations and didn't. Remember what King Saul didn't, what was that, Amalek, that he didn't do it to? And Amalek was supposed to be remembered, because when we were coming out of Egypt, Amalek was like, wasn't they the first ones to encamp us and try to mess with us coming out of going through the wilderness?
And Amalek is the son of Edom.
Yeah.
Amalek is the son of Edom. Who's supposed to?
Yeah. And without saying, we know who the camps say Amalek is, but that's a whole nother topic. Keep going.
Yeah, whole other topic. But this is the level of textual criticism that's going to help us get to the truth of what these scrolls are saying. These scrolls have been in the hands of pagans. Now we call them Christians, and they feel they got a revelation because they're standing on Jesus Christ, and they got a revelation that us Hebrews don't have. But you don't even understand that there's no one ever in history ever named Jesus. But you got a revelation on high. So take us to Exodus 31. Let's go to Exodus 31 and 17, and we're going to try to demonstrate how textual criticism helps us get to the truth of what the Father wants from us. Not what the Torah Group is teaching, not what Abijah I think y'all should be doing. We're trying to get to the root of what your Father wants you to do. Exodus 31, verse 17. Shema, read.
It is a sign between me and the children of Yasharal forever. For in 6 days the Most High made the heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed.
It is a sign between me and the children of Israel. Elam Yasharallah Ha'alam. How long is forever?
Forever, continuous, don't stop.
Did he say when my son come back, y'all good? My son is the Lord of the Sabbath. Did he say that?
No.
Because he would have surely says, keep this until I send you another sign. He said, keep this forever. And then he continues on, for in 6 days, the Most High made heaven and earth. And on the 7th day, he rested and was refreshed.
Well, even when you go into the New Testament, it tells you in some books, it says that Hamashiach was going to the feast. He was in the area so he could fellowship during the feast. So if it ended with him, you got witnesses showing that he kept the feast. He was keeping the Shabbat. He was going to synagogues, really to pull us back out. And then his followers, his disciples, continued on his works after.
That, you see that level of textual criticism? Like, Pastor, we don't need all that moaning and groaning. Can you just answer? If you're saying the Sabbath is no longer important and you are a Christian, meaning you're doing what Christ did, Christ kept the Sabbath. And then, okay, well, once he resurrected, that's when everything changed. And that's when we got a new covenant. But the men that he breathed on, the same men who was raising the dead, they kept the Sabbath after him. Pastor, can you explain that? They just give you a bunch of seminary talk. Well, see, the finished works of Christ, they brought the, what verse talks about the finished works of Christ? This is the level we're going through. So let's get this, let's be fair. I've been trying to be true to what we're saying and give you the Septuagint too. This is the same verse in the Septuagint. Can you read this?
It is a perpetual covenant with me and the children of Yasharal. It is a perpetual sign with me. For in 6 days, the Most High made the heaven and the earth. And on the 7th day, he ceased and rested.
So the Septuagint words it differently, but for some reason, like, you know, I don't have my diploma, but they say perpetual twice. You see that? Like perpetual twice. Like
On and on and on.
So the Septuagint words it a little differently, but perpetual is twice. It must mean something. But what caught my eye, family, the Septuagint says on the 7th day he ceased and rested. And the Masoretic text say, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. Abba, the Most High, he rested and was refreshed. What's wrong with that text, y'all? What's wrong with that text? Think like an Israelite. What's wrong with that text?
Most High don't get tired.
Who was that?
He can't be refreshed.
Who said the Most High can get tired?
Me and Nariah. The Most High is the refreshment.
If your God gets tired, what if he's pulling you out the Red Sea and he gets tired? Like, what?
Well, you know, even in Christian, you know, we sing songs about he never sleeps, he never slumbers.
Yeah.
So
This text, so we sung songs that he never sleeps and slumbers, but the text is saying he was refreshed. If your God, if your power needs to be refreshed, maybe he's not the one. So I was reading this like, the Most High was refreshed. Why do we need to be refreshed?
because we fell short. We fell in sin. We lost our glory.
And now we got this,
We got this flesh.
we got this flesh. We need to be refreshed because we got flesh on us. When we're running and working out, your heart says, hey, I can only pump so much. Slow down. Does the Most High have a heart? Does he have flesh? What is he?
Yeah.
How the spirit gets tired? So what is this text really saying, huh? How's this text to my Abba had to be refreshed? If you look up this word in a lexicon, and we're going to bring it up, that whole phrase "and was refreshed" is coming from Strong's H 5314, Napash. And Napash, it can be used to say to take a breath, to refresh, and to breathe upon. It's also the Hebrew word for soul. napash. It means soul, but it can mean to breathe upon. And the Masoretic writers, they use this word napash there for, and he was refreshed. The Septuagint writers, they use Strong's again. James Strong is the lexicon, first, accepted or whatever. He's not the best, but we're going to use the Strong's numbers. And the Septuagint is Strong's G2664. And forgive me, y'all, it's a pagan word, catapau. And catapau means to restrain, to rest, give rest, and cease. That's the usage of catapau. That's what the Septuagint using, right? Let's get a parallel text. Let's go to Genesis 2 and 3. Let's see how Genesis words this.
Genesis 2 and 3. And the Most High blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work, which Yah created and made.
So again, the Masoretic text is saying that bless the seventh day. Now, for all my Christian apologists, if this gets clipped up or comes across your channel, we done heard Jakes and all of them saying, I worship on Monday, I worship on Sunday, I worship on Tuesday. And that's cute. Sounds real cute.
You made yourself God.
Absolutely. I worship him every day too, fam. I do. Every day I got breath, I worship him. But did the text say he blessed every day?
Nope.
He blessed what day?
Sabbath.
The seventh day according to him, not according to the Babylonians.
You
So go ahead, I'll let it out.
mean not Saturday?
Not Saturday. He didn't say I blessed Saturday. I blessed the seventh day according to my system that I put up in the sky. So yeah, you could get cute, Dr. Seminary, with all your little preaching and I worship every day of the week. I don't wait for those Saturday. Me neither. But the day he blessed is the seventh day. I just want to throw that out there as a sidebar. But this text still saying that he rested from all his works that he created. The Septuagint words it a little differently. Same verse,
And the Most High blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he ceased from all his work, which Yah began to do.
So the Septuagint seems, in our Greco-Roman mind, the Septuagint seems like it's saying the same thing. He ceased from all his works. But y'all notice a subtle difference in the verses? Y'all notice a subtle difference? The Masoretic at the top is saying, because that in it he had rested, opposed to the Septuagint saying, because he ceased. The Masoretic is still implying that he rested like he needed a rest. You see how the elders saying the same thing translated has not the same effect?
Make him look weak.
Makes him look like he's a man. Yeah, I know. Hey, I ain't been home yet. This is beautiful what you did, but you tired? Like, what's going on here? If you're tired, what chance do we have?
You go back a couple of slides when you was showing the posh at the top right here. So what comes to mind for me is it makes me think he ceased speaking. I'm not giving breath anymore. I don't have anything else to say. I stopped talking because my words have life.
You all in my notes, boy. You all in my notes. Did y'all catch what Chef is saying? This is the level of textual criticism we have to go through. You're using a pagan phrase and was refreshed, but even though they were wicked, our Talmudic rabbis, the Masoretic priests, they put a Hebrew word napash there, and napash has different usages, but it could be to take a breath, to refresh, to breathe upon. Chef is now saying that he see that he stopped talking, he stopped uttering things. And Chef is all in my notes. Any other questions or comments before we move on? Chef, if this was hot bread and butter, you hot as a firecracker. You hot as a firecracker.
Slaki, I got a thought.
Go ahead,
man, I think I mentioned this to Nariah yesterday. That's just a thought, random. But for Abba Yah to not be resting or which could be not to be saying anything or not to be uttering anything. Well, when you think about it, you look at when was the last time somebody really like truly heard from him? Then that would probably maybe John, when he was in the Isle of Patmos. But still, Yahweh Shai was being used for that. So, I mean, going from 70 AD, maybe to 80 AD, anywhere around there, all the way up until now, like, who has actually truly heard from him in the way that we know that you can be heard from him when it comes to the prophets? So that silence or that taking a rest from not speaking or not uttering anything or not giving that breath, that's a long, if that is what it could mean for our time, ever since John all the way up until now, which is, roughly 2,000 years or so, that's a long time for him not to be uttering anything, and just laying wait for us to wake up out of our slumber and out of our sleep and to remember ourselves. That's just a thought that I had.
I do think he's talking to us through his son, because the things that he's revealing to us, family, I'm not that smart. The stuff that's coming through this assembly, it's him talking to us through his son. But the word that our elders were getting, I don't think anyone's getting that level of thus saith the Most High. But he's talking to us through his son. So that was a great point. Great point. So Chef is already ahead of us. The text is saying that Abba Yah had rested and he needed to be refreshed. But the word that our Hebrew ancestors use could have different contexts to the word. This is the Hebrew word in Genesis 2 and 3. In Genesis 2 and 3, family, when you read that word, because he had rested, if you check the lexicons, and again, please verify, don't take my word for anything, I'm a dirtbag. The lexicon says that phrase had rested, they use a Hebrew word H7673, and it means Shabbat. And y'all know Shabbat has different usages. Shabbat can mean oath or covenant. It can mean seven, because that's the word seven is Shabbat. It can mean to rest, cease. It also can mean to fail, and it also could mean to celebrate. It also can mean to celebrate. And the Septuagint, that phrase he ceased, they use the word katapa. And this is when we give praise to Abba, because the Septuagint is truer to to use their system. The Septuagint is more scholastic. The Septuagint is more scholastic. What do I mean? Well, the Masoretic text, although y'all hold the Masoretic text to be the upper echelon of the text, because it was translated from Hebrew, in one space you have the same phrase, had rested. In Exodus, you're using the word napash for rest or refresh. But then when you go to Genesis 2, you're using the word Shabbat. Opposed to the Greek Septuagint is staying consistent. In Exodus 31 and in Genesis 2, the Greek Septuagint uses the same word to express that Father stopped. They use G2664, katapa. In their circles, family, that's what scholars do. If you're telling me Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, Uncle Masha, why in Genesis you use the word Shabbat, but then when you write Exodus, you use Napash? What's going on, Uncle Masha? You see this level of textual criticism? No writer would do that, especially if Masha is doing all this writing, there's nothing changed in my generation. But if Masha starts off writing and then someone else has to finish in another generation, maybe that Hebrew speaker will use another word. But in scholarly circles, the Septuagint is a more valid or valuable text because whoever is translating the Septuagint, they're being consistent with the word they're using. That makes sense? Everyone seeing that? So in one instance, to express the same phrase that Abba sees, you use Shabbat in Genesis, but then when you get to Exodus, you say Napash. Something's going on in the text. Any questions or comments before we go on?
Just as a witness to that, when you getting your degree, you in high school, in whatever level, when you have to write essays or papers, upon meeting your teacher the first time, whenever you write something, you're leaving a mark, you're imprinting
You're
something.
establishing your work.
So as you begin to write, they give you different things to read, and they want to see you growing, your scholarship. So you get a grade, let's say you got a C the first time. Your next level, you got an A. Man, okay. You're making C's on all the other tests, but your next essay, you got an A. They might just let that one slide. They looking at your wording ain't lining up with your previous history. But then you come in again. So now I'm questioning what you're doing. Wait, you using big words. You was barely putting together 3 syllables in large paper. Now you're talking about onomatopoeias. So to your point, like, we learned this stuff in school. You've given them your history. How come we can't take the time to look for ourselves?
Textual criticism. Masha, why you change the different words up, Masha? And you wrote this yourself. That's what the Westminster Confession of Faith saying. The word of God is infallible, it's inerrant, it's inspired. But I got this same writer using different expressions for the same phrase. It's not a dig, I got you, but it's like something ain't right here. Now, opposed to the Septuagint, they're staying consistent using catapult. That's why I prefer the Septuagint over the Masoretic text. But the powers that be who run your seminaries, who run your churches, they esteem the Masoretic text because it was translated in Hebrew. But we bringing out that those Masoretic priests were non-messianic. So this generation who wrote the Septuagint, they didn't live to see the Messiah yet. So they didn't have even an opportunity to be biased or unbiased for the Messiah. But you Masoretic priests who are descendants of the Pharisees, your whole trend is he ain't the one. He's the son of a whore. So now you translate something in Hebrew, and the pagan's like, oh, this is more valid. It's in Hebrew because you're a pagan. For us Israelites, even though it's in Hebrew, they don't like Messiah, or they don't like Yahushua, who we think is Messiah. So I gotta watch what y'all writing. That's the level of textual criticism we're going through to show Christians as well as Hebrews. You have to seek Abba Yah. You have to fast and pray and come back to your heritage if you want to be sharp as you think you are. Too many of these brothers getting up by something like, listen, the text ain't saying what you're saying it is. Now you want to collect super chats and donations and buy my Patreon class. Listen, the text ain't saying what these brothers are saying. So why would Uncle Masha use one word, Shabbat, and then get to Exodus 31 and he's saying Napash, for the Most High stopped and was refreshed? We don't have to go there. I know everyone doesn't have it. But Jubilees is a very valuable tool. Let's read Jubilees chapter 2. Let's read Jubilees chapter 2. Let's get some context of what's being said. And know what, I will pull up on the screen because I forgot about those verses. This is Jubilees chapter 2.
Write the complete history of the creation, how in 6 days the Most High Elohim finished all his works and all that he created, and kept Sabbath on the 7th day and hallowed it for all ages, and appointed it as a sign for all his works,
What did the Father do on the seventh day? What did he do on the seventh day?
He kept Sabbath and he hallowed it for all ages and appointed it as a sign for all.
Our Father, the Most High Yah, he kept Shabbat on the seventh day. He kept Shabbat on the seventh day without even having us. Did it say he established the Sabbath day? No. The text say he kept Sabbath. That means it was already part of his system. So you see how the Christian church, because y'all don't read from these texts, you have no idea what's going on. That Sabbath is man-made, and that Sabbath is man worship. The Father kept Sabbath before he even had us in line yet. The seventh day, Adam was just made the day before. He already had a rhythm. A Shabbat day is part of his cycle. My goodness. And then it says, and he appointed it as a sign for all his works. For man, for all his works. Now, I don't know how true it is, family. I saw this one brother, no, Slacky, I think he was a stranger, but they was trying to bring out that they were doing a study on animals, trying to see if animals stop on a Sabbath. And they was investigating a beaver, and they said for some reason on this day, a beaver don't do anything. He appointed a Sabbath for all his works. The animals know. It's something in the ant. Now, I haven't had pets in a long time. I'm trying to get a dog. I'm so busy. But if y'all got pets and stuff, pay attention. If your dog don't want to do something on this day, he appointed a Sabbath for all his works. So I'm going to stop this share because I do want to bring up the Jubilees. I forgot about this. I'm going to bring up Jubilees online just to make a point. So this is Jubilees, and is this making sense so far?
Oh, yeah.
So I want to show you how deep behind enemy lines we are. Can y'all see that in the back? We ain't gonna worry about the block Hebrew. For the critics, yes, I can read that too. I'm not fluent in none of it, but yes, I can read it. But for our intents and purposes, y'all see how Genesis, Jubilees 2, I think verse 1 we started at, it says that the Father kept Shabbat. The Father kept Shabbat before Adam even had the things in order. Shabbat is not something he made up in Moses' time. Shabbat is something that's eternal in the heavens. And I should have had my markers, but let's go down here to the highlighted part. I want to point out something to you that you have to go through when you're doing your research. I've been burnt before, and I want to save y'all from being burnt. Okay, Khan. So let's start here. This is in this version. In this version is this is Jubilees chapter 2, and we're going to pick it up at verse 15. And can you read start at verse 15 and on the fourth day? Y'all can see? Y'all good?
And on the fourth day, he
Oh, is it Sharon?
No.
How about now?
All right. And on the fourth day, he created the sun and the moon and the stars and set them in the firmament of the heaven and to give light upon all the earth and to rule over the day and the night and divide the light from the darkness. And the Most High appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths of years, and for jubilees.
Can you read that again out?
And the Most High appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years.
This version that you're reading on the screen of Jubilees is saying that the Most High established the sun as a great sign over the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and festivals and years. And I have another copy of Jubilees by another not ancient, he's an old scholar, theologian. This is by George Henry Scood. And in George Henry Scood's translation of Jubilees, it's also saying that the Most High established the sun as a great sign over the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and for festivals and for years and for jubilees and for all seasons of the years. So this is the level of scholarship you have to go through when you're trying to come back to the Most High. And this is just, I just have to say this, family, this is how you know everybody's not walking with the Most High. And I don't say that to be mean. It's just I have to protect the sheep. All of you are my brothers and sisters. Even people who don't fellowship with us, they are my brothers and sisters. It's my job to give them the truth. The reason why this text is saying that the sun is given as a great light for the month and the year, can y'all see? Can y'all see that? No. Can y'all see the author right here?
R.H. Charles.
R.H. Charles. If you Google R.H. Charles, we brought this out about a year or two ago. If you Google R.H. Charles in your little Google search, R.H. Charles is a Catholic priest. His picture has the white collar and everything. So he's been translating a lot of our pseudepigraphas, Enoch, Jubilees, Jasher. So it's only right that he says the sun is controlling everything because the Catholics are sun worshipers. Now, George Scood, I couldn't find a bio on him, but it doesn't matter because this is a reprint. So who's publishing this book now? Just because it has old looking font, y'all know y'all can buy fonts offline. This is the level of scholarship we got to go through. We got some brothers and we love them. We love them. Listen, the Torah Group is not about division. If that's your understanding, if that's the scholarship you've been presented with, the Father's not holding you guilty because that's what you've been taught, even in this awakening. But we have more witnesses from righteous elders that the moon controls everything. He says that the sun is in control of the months, but why do you call it months? Month is a pagan word for moon. When we check the text, can y'all find me book, chapter, verse where the Father says on the 15th day of the sun, come together? Nowhere. The Father always says on the X day of the moon, do this. On the X day of the moon, do that. This is the level of scholarship we have to go through. And then you got brothers who want to get in their feelings, and chit chat behind your back and just produce your witnesses.
Keep your mouth off.
Keep your mouth. Listen, I'm not the one. But you get brothers meaning well, or you'd have been presented this text or this Jubilees right here says, you don't know who wrote this translation. You don't know who's the printer, who's the editor. That's the level no one wants us to win, family. So the sun is not controlling anything. The sun rules the day and the moon rules the night, but the months and the feasts are being ordered by the moon. And if we have to throw all these texts away, we know the Tanakh is solid. Let's throw Jubilees away. Let's throw Jasher away. Let's throw all these extra writings away. Let's just stick to the KJV. How many times in the KJV does it say the sun beat on the 14th day of the sun?
I ain't never seen it.
I ain't never seen it. So this is the level of scholarship I want you guys to get used to doing. When you find an old writing, don't get happy. You think you're gonna listen. It happened to me many nights. I tell the story. I think Gerald is on with us now. I told the story. I found this book, man. I thought I had something. It was all about the great struggle between God and Satan, and it was talking about how fanaticism. People go to church and have a feeling, and they shout. And I'm like, man, this is talking about Christianity. I'm thinking this book is full of wisdom. I get to the end of this book. This book was a thick book, like 300 some pages. I get to the end. I said, let me Google who this woman is. I Google this woman. It's Ellen G. White. I've wasted 3-4 weeks reading. This is the level you got to go through, family. This is the level you got. So I just want to point that out, family. But we're going to keep going with Jubilees here.
Salakia. I got my hand up. I just wanted to land me back on what you just said. That point you made earlier. Contextual criticism and like asking themselves. It goes back to the basics: who, what, when, where, why. If you're not asking those things when you're studying script, if you're just going based off surface and what it says in some of these translations, which a lot of people do, but that's what it says. That's what it says, and they just run with it without having the who, what, when, where, why. The actual contextual criticism that's required to be a student to understand the stuff. And that's why they're thrown off like that. So the point you're making is 100% true. Like you have to be that type of a student. And I think that's what the scriptures is clearly pointing out when they tell us dig like for hidden treasure. Like no one location has a monopoly on all of the treasures of the world. You got to it's scattered throughout the world. The whole earth is full of resources and valuable things. And then how many times you just walking and just see some of the best treasures just land on top of the surface. No, you got to go in. You got to dig deep sometimes to find this stuff. These findings, these archaeological finds that people get. So it's the same thing. You got to go deeper than the surface. I just wanted to land back and throw that in.
The water revolve for that. So I went off on a tangent just to show you that, because you got brothers pulling resources, and this is peer reviewed, and this was at Yale's. Listen, I don't care about Yale, I don't care about Harvard, none of that crap. If it's not coming from a righteous Israelite, it's garbage to me. So that's the level of textual criticism we have to apply to all these writings we find in. But let's keep reading this Jubilees chapter 2 and find out about why is Moshe using one word in Genesis, and then for some reason he uses another word, or these translators, these elders who translated the Masoretic text, they're using the word napash in Exodus, but in Genesis y'all use the word Shabbat. Let's finish reading this. Let's see if we can make some sense of it. This is Jubilees chapter 2, verse 27.
27. And he finished all his work on the 6th day. All that is in the heavens and on the earth, and in the seas and in the abysses, and in the light and in the darkness, and in everything. And he gave us a great sign, the Sabbath day, that we should work 6 days, but keep Sabbath on the 7th day from all work. And all the angels of the presence and all of the angels of sanctification. So I got a question, and I ain't trying to be funny. So for me, when I see Sabbath and I see day, I think gave the sun for the day. He's saying right here, Sabbath day. Now, we all know there's a few different schools of thoughts that the evening starts in the day. But he said he gave moon for the night. When you look up evening, it says in between daylight and night.
You sharp today, chef.
So I hear in 27, it says Sabbath day. We don't count when we're counting, because when you look at a tape measure, you got 1 inch, 2 inch, and you got little
checks.
points.
I still don't know what I'm checking.
Well, in the measurements in the plumb line, if you need 1/8 of an inch, but you measure out 3/8, you're gonna be too long. If you need 3/8, but you cut 1/8, you're gonna be too short. That's why they tell you measure twice, cut once. But so we don't count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 1/2, 6 3/4. Oh, it's evening, let's start the Shabbat. The text says on the seventh day.
Day.
Why not just say on the evening before? I just wanted it to be plain for me. Am I missing something?
Y'all have some? Man, there's so many ways we could take this, but let's just try to help our people. They already putting a label on us. They already putting a label on us. But let's try to help our people. The text say that he made the Sabbath day as a sign. Can you see a sign at night?
You can see the moon at night.
You see the moon at night. But but listen to what we're saying. The moon at night, he's saying Sabbath day should be a sign. And then what did he want us to do on the Sabbath day?
Rest.
Rest. Don't you already rest at night? Why would that be special?
Make too much sense.
You see, it's just this is not complicated, family. We got these brothers want to get these assemblies and sound all super deep. Our way of life is not, I'm sorry. Our way of life is not that deep. It's very simple. A babe can understand this. Our Sabbath is during the day, because that's when you usually are moving about. Father says, stop and think about me.
You're gonna already be rested.
At night, you already going to bed.
No man works. Y'all gotta go home from work. So why I'm gonna tell you the rest when you should be already rested?
It's all right. And then, like you said, evening is a Hebrew word, arab, where they get Arab from. Arab means a mixture. It's not really day, it's not really night, it's arab. Like when the new moon was coming. I kept checking because I know, okay, the sun's still too high. It's not quite gone yet, so let me keep going. And then when you see the sun get really low, it's not really night because I still can see the sun. I still can see your radiation, but it's not really night yet. It's a rob. But then when night fully comes, sometimes the sun is all the way out of sight. We can see that new crescent. That's night. So again, these people get puffed up in their understanding. They get latched onto their teachers, and my teacher said this, and now you're just a groupie. Congratulations. You don't went from being a Christian groupie to a Hebrew groupie.
Oh, man.
We're not doing that here. Y'all got information, we need to see that. We want to be in line with WORD OF YAH. So this Sabbath day is a great sign that the Most High set up, but it didn't start with man, family. That's what I'm bringing you. It didn't start with man. He had Sabbath by himself, because Adam, you were just born, or you were just created on day 6. So he already knew that my Sabbath was coming. He didn't have to establish, oh, today is going to be a Sabbath. The text don't say that. It said he kept Sabbath on the 7th day. Read on out.
29. These two great classes he hath hidden us to keep the Sabbath with him.
So this is a typo right here, family. This really should be a B. He has bidden us.
He has bidden us to keep the Sabbath with him in heaven and on earth.
With him where?
In heaven and on earth.
So you got all this going to heaven when we get to the kingdom. They're celebrating Sabbath in the kingdom. But you don't know how, because that was finished works of Christ. Christ is the Lord of the Sabbath.
Depart from me.
They're keeping Sabbath in heaven with Abba. You see how deep we go? These Christian seminaries have no idea what's going on. Let's read on. I'm going to get out y'all way.
30. And he said unto us, behold, I will separate myself a people from among all the people.
We all the same. They all go with that skin doctrine. We all the same in Christ.
My words. And he said unto us, behold, I will separate unto myself a people from among all the peoples, and these will keep the Sabbath day.
Sabbath evening.
Day.
Sabbath night.
Day. And I will sanctify them unto myself as my people, and will bless them as I have sanctified the Sabbath day, and do sanctify it unto myself. Even so shall I bless them, and they will be my people, and I shall be their Elohim.
He blessed everyone like Abraham.
And they will be my people, and I shall be their Elohim.
Just give me book.
And I have chosen the seed of Jacob from amongst all that I have seen, and have written him down as my firstborn son, and have sanctified him unto myself, forever and ever,
just till the Messiah comes.
forever and ever,
That's what the book said.
continuously,
Mm-hmm.
perpetually.
There you go, using them SAT words.
Uh-oh.
Perpetual.
And I will, 33, and I will teach them the Sabbath day, and they may keep Sabbath thereon from all work.
Uh-huh.
And thus he created therein a sign in accordance with which they should keep Sabbath with us on the seventh day.
Keep Sabbath with who?
With us.
And who is this us, family?
Uh-oh.
The angels in heaven. So next Wednesday, when we're keeping Shabbat the best we can, you can look up and the Malachi sees you. I know y'all up there doing it big. You see me down here.
Right.
We're trying. But they up there with some good men up there. They keep Sabbath according to the moon, family, in heaven right now, forever. They keep a Sabbath. Read on.
To keep Sabbath with us on the seventh day, to eat and to drink, and to bless him who has created all things,
Mm-hmm.
as he hath blessed and sanctified unto himself a peculiar people above all peoples, and that they shall keep Sabbath together with us.
With who?
With us.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls his commandments to ascend as a sweet savior, acceptable before him all the days.
Where did this command to keep Sabbath ascend to?
To him.
The commandment to keep Sabbath ascended as a sweet savior up into heaven to Abba. This is the level we go through. You thinking you're shutting down Israelites about laws and Sabbath days, and we're going to worship God, and we're going to listen. The Father kept Sabbath day 7 of creation. Adam was just created on day 6. Adam didn't even know what was going on for, I'm a writer, y'all, but I imagine Adam is creative. Like what's going on? Like, because he was created as a grown man, but he didn't know anything. You ever seen like that big kid in the 1st grade? Like, he dumb as bricks. So
You can't take that.
but Adam was made as a grown man, but he didn't know what was going on. I was like, today's Shabbat, son. Shabbat was already in order before we even got ourselves understanding. And it's forever in the heavens. That's what I wanted to bring out, family. Shabbat is not something that started with Moses. It's not a Mount Sinai covenant. It's not a Mosaic covenant. Shabbat is an eternal covenant that's still going on in the heavens. And as the best of my research, family, they will be keeping Shabbat on Wednesday in the heavens. So you could take some solace and pride that the angels are celebrating with you or for you, because you're down here got to work for Babylon because your ancestors didn't want to keep the law. Now these Christians say you ain't got to keep the law.
Shalakia.
Well,
I just wanted to throw 2 witnesses in there just to support what you're saying, to land me back what you're saying about the day being a Shabbat. I said in the chat how we got to remember how Christ said that it was 12 hours in the day. So this whole little 24-hour thing that people try to use, from evening to evening don't really hold up. The other aspect, Christ again also gave us an illustration that we can learn from about the workers and how the workers showed up at different points during that 12-hour workday. So why would he be making reference to a 12-hour workday? And then the people who come in the 11th hour, they felt some kind of way because they got the same wages and we've been working all day. So it goes to show that biblically they understood what a workday was. People try to modernize this thing and say, well, we work 3rd shift. Nowadays, we don't even like, what are you talking about? Again, who, what, when, where, how? Like that's not our dispensation. Like during their time period, they won't. I mean, if you was a watchman or whatever at night on a watchtower, whatever the case may be, but we understand clearly through scriptures that they work during the day, biblically. They tend to the fields and so forth. So I just wanted to throw those witnesses in there.
But you see how that support what you're saying about these people who think Shabbat start in the evening, that the work hours are clearly during daylight. So, starting in the evening don't make sense. Everyone's going home, punching out. It don't make sense.
To expound on what Gerald was saying, we know noon is the highest part of the day.
Con,
If they say midday, they're telling you it's the middle of the day.
con.
So to establish that 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., if you got 24 hours, half, middle of 12 is 12.
Yeah.
Half of 12 is 6. So we're gonna go back 6 hours. The first, that praying hour,
Yeah.
6 a.m.
First light.
Daniel prayed 3 times.
Yeah. First light is 6 a.m. That's the that would be 0 o'clock. And then the third hour is 9 o'clock.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. That's the second prayer. If you was local by a temple, you would go to the temple or the Bayat. Like the one temple was in Jerusalem, but throughout this country we had little Bayats. So if you was working near a Bayat, we all Hebrews. It's not like we're gonna watch Chef. Yeah, Chef going to the temple. Like, hey, why did you go? We going to the temple, and we would be in the temple praying with the Levites at those 0 o'clock or 6 a.m., 9 a.m., and then at the midday hour.
But our cousins, when I was in Afghanistan, no matter what they doing, they stop. They getting out their rugs. They bowing at these hours.
Yeah.
So they have their own perversion, but they're still praying.
They faithful to it.
So we have examples, but we push on it. That's not my understanding. It don't matter what you what are you reading? What does the script say?
I think the wicked rabbis, and I got one of their books, one of their prayer books from the 1200s or 1500s. I've been going through it, and most of it, they copied the Songs of David. Because that's David set the temple up. Right? So people take that too far. See, David was a priest, and David's sons was a priest. Stop. That's not what the text said. But David set the temple up, and the Levites sing them prayers at different hours and different days. So we got prayers for Shabbat. We got prayers of praise for the first day of the week. But this life we're living, family, it's all this studying now because we're slaves. But back home, it's simple. Today is the first day of the week. This is what David said we sang on the first day of the week. Today is the day of preparation. David says we sing this. And if you're by a temple, come on out, let's go to the temple. When we get to the temple, they got a bowl out there for me and you can clean and wash ourselves before we come in. Take off our sandals.
Wash your hands and
your feet and your face. When we come and see our Levites, what's up, bro? Y'all getting started? Yeah, we getting started. Y'all come on in. Our way of life is simple, family. They just take all this scholarship now because we behind enemy lines.
2003, 2004, I was in Afghanistan witnessing this whole thing. I had no clue what was going on.
That was your culture. That's how these curses are real. That's why, like, I can't wait till we get back home and we're doing things as the Most High wanted us. And Messiah is like waiting for, like, can you imagine Messiah right there? Like, he's smiling, like, I seen y'all over the stage. Y'all's representing, yeah. Oh man, yeah. Our way of life is not. It's not deep, man. I'm sorry. Our way of life is not deep. It's not super special. You don't need to lower your voice and Father and Yahuwah. Oh, bless you. We just come. You don't need all that. Father, I thank you for getting me home. Man, that car got mangled behind me. Father, I don't know how I made it through that. Hurricane came out last night, Father. And look, all I see is limbs down. Thank you, Abba. These people down Florida in water right now. That's all he needs. He don't want you to be all special and rise up and run, my son. Oh. Messiah died so you can get. You ain't supposed to be living. Get up. That's our way. It's simple. It's these men coming from Christianity trying to over spiritualize everything.
Trying to be spooky.
Trying to be spooky. Peter says, man, hey, silver and gold have I none, such as I have I given to thee. Rise up and walk. Come on, little homie. That's the way he told. Get up. You don't want to be crippled? Get up. In the name of, he didn't say in the name of Jesus. Y'all know what no J's. In the name of Yahweh Shah, get up and walk. Our will is not deep, family. We're almost done. 2 more slides, family. So I clipped this from Blue Letter Bible. Y'all used to that font now. And I just wanted to show you how, as Chef read that prologue to Sirach, and our ancestors, our elders says the same thing uttered in Hebrew don't have the same force in other languages. You can see that when you use these lexicons like the Blue Letter Bible. So here's the end of Exodus. Let's read it again. Let's read Exodus 31 and 17, because this is the bottom of it. Exodus 31 and 17. We got two more slides, I think. Two more slides, we're done. This is
Exodus 31 and 17.
read.
It is a sign between me and the children of Yasharel forever. For in 6 days the Most High made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed.
So Exodus 31 has Masha supposedly saying that our Father, the great I am, created the heavens and earth. And on day, y'all see the word day, the pagan word day, it correlates to the Hebrew word H31:17. That character, I'm looking at the bottom, the writing up top is the Wah Bayam. Wah Bayam. It's just, I know this generation is adulterated, but up top, those first sets is saying Wah Bayam, and on the day. But down bottom here, those bottom three glyphs, you see that glyph with the dot over it? That's the pointed text. We don't need that character at all. They're using that character as an O. We don't have no O's in our language. All we need is that first character, which is the Yah, and we need that last character, which is the Ma. We know as Hebrews is Yam, Y-A-M. So we don't need that O. They're using our Y as an O. It's adulteration. But the point of this picture here, they have a pagan word, they say day, it matches the Hebrew word yam. Then it says he rested, but the text say Shabbat. Shabbat. And then the pagan text says, and was. We don't have no correlation for and was. Y'all see that? It just say for that pagan word refresh, that whole phrase and was refreshed is satisfied with the Hebrew word napash. Y'all see they can't match us word for word. So they're adding multiple pagan words. You're trying to guess what the Hebrew thought is. And I started to put it in this slide. We haven't said it in a long time, but our tribal declaration is proof text right here. These are Israelite scrolls written by Israelites. If you don't understand the Israelites, you won't understand these scrolls. So that whole pagan phrase, and was refreshed, is satisfied with the posh. But saying that the Father needed to be refreshed is borderline blasphemy. Or your power ain't the one.
Psalms 121.
What you got out?
I'm gonna skip through. I'm gonna go down to verse 3. He will not allow your foot to be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep.
So slumber and sleep, we know that means you need to be refreshed. Abba don't need to be refreshed because he's spirit. I'm spirit, and those who worship me must worship me in spirit and truth. You can't worship him with your carnal mind. So you're going to seminary school, getting all this education, using these Greek words and a hermeneutical breakdown and hypostatic union. You're learning all these pagan terms, and you're putting a cut stone as your altar. That's forbidden. Our altars are coming from unhewn stone. So that Greek education is a adulteration to us.
It's like it. When you were talking about what did you say? If you're not Hebrew, if you don't understand scroll, you're not gonna understand Hebrew. So y'all remember maybe 7 or 8 years ago when they started talking about teaching Ebonics in school. They were trying to understand us. Because these children be walking around the hallway making jokes or just saying things out loud like you and I in conversation, and they have no clue what we're talking about.
Wow. Wow, so we want to understand y'all. And that's what these pagans have been doing for centuries now. They've been trying to understand us, so you're putting a Greek and Roman spin, oh, this is what it really means. And he was refreshed. My God, my power needs to be refreshed? I don't think so. My power is so powerful, he can save your house from destruction, your house from destruction at the same time. That's why he needs to be refreshed. So y'all can see these pagan words can't match the Hebrew word for word. So we're gonna put this phrase, this verse back in the Hebraic thought. The seventh day, Yom Shabbat Yom, or seventh day, Shabbat Napash, Yah Shabbat Napash. Not we say he or Yah Shabbat or Yahweh Shabbat Napash. What is this? What is this speaker trying to tell us? Yahweh Napash. Yahweh Napash. Take a few seconds, those online too, if you're still with us. Try to decipher what Napash is saying. Try to decipher what Napash is saying. Remember that their lexicons, and thank you, John, my memory, all praise be the Most High. Their lexicons are doing the best they can, but these lexicons are coming from Frenchmen, Germans, Italians. So one of their breakdowns for the Napash is to breathe, to refresh, to take a breath, or to rest. That's what they're saying Napash is. And we're telling you Napash is our word for soul. But try your best and try to make Napash fit the text of what Abba is really doing. He made the heaven and earth on the seventh day. I mean, in 6 days. On the seventh day, he Napashed. He Napashed. Did he take a breath to rest? Did he take a break? Did he take a nap? What is Napash really saying, family? Sure. Y'all just say Shema when y'all ready.
Shema.
Everybody online? Anybody online trying to decipher this? Yahweh Napash.
We got Floyd says, continue to eat, feed your soul.
Continue to eat and feed your soul. That's a good job, sis. Good job. But in this context, it's saying that
All
follow.
right.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Looking at it and thinking of trying to keep everything in context.
Mm-hmm.
The na, I remember you going over the na before, and it can mean establishment. So the pa can be like a open space, an outline, a mouth. So when I look at it and thinking about the word cease, I see the Most High establishing a pause when it comes to his separation. So just like he ceased from his work, he wants us to cease from our activity and meditate on him and thank him for everything that he's done for us. That's just what I see, though.
So like in the lamb off of that, I got separate for our seed, for his seed.
I'm about to shout it here. Give me that E flat. So Sister T, you were processing it right, but in this context, it's more close to what Chef and Nariah is saying, because the verses before is saying that he worked or he created in 6 days, and now on the 7th day, the pagans are saying he rested or was refreshed, but our ancestors use a word napash. And when we look at napash, we can even, to make even clearer, he Shabbat napash. He Shabbat napash. Do you got you have your you don't have your jubilees? Let me get it here. Let's read jubilees again. Let me see if this ties together. Maybe I didn't do a good job, but it is. Chapter 2, Jubilees chapter 2 at the top. Let's read it again with this glyph on the screen.
And the angel of the presence spoke to Moshe according to the word of the Most High, saying, write the complete history of the creation, how in 6 days your Most High, your Elohim, finished all his works, and all that he created, and kept Sabbath on the 7th day, and sanctified it for all ages, and appointed it as a sign for all his works.
You see, Nariah and Chef are right on. It's not because we're special, it just makes sense. Now I understand that even though my wicked ancestors called the Talmudists, they did translate the Masoretic text, it sort of lets me know they had they still had their Hebraic roots, because they use a Hebrew word napash and the pagans didn't understand what they were trying to say. So the pagans is making the text say that Abba refreshed himself, but no, according to Jubilees chapter 2, which gives us more detail than Genesis, he created the heavens and the earth in 6 days and all that there is within. And on the 7th day, he kept Shabbat, and he established Shabbat for all his creation. So like Chef and Nariah is saying, Napash in this context is not saying he breathed on the land. He established his circle of separation, his clique. Everything he created, the animals too, is on my time. It's on my circle. That makes sense? Napash being that rhythm.
So I was reading Jasher chapter 5, talking about Noah going to the ark. And
I got it here.
you know, it goes in a little bit more detail. He was told that every animal that comes to bow before you, take in. So it said a lioness, and it's I guess it's 2 cubs. They used another word, but it's 2 cubs came, and the cubs basically ran the lioness off. The lioness went back to the lion. So there were animals that were left on the outside of the ark. After that 7-day period, when it started to rain, they were still standing around. So when the people came to try to get in, the animals, he used the animals to drive them away.
I'm establishing my circle. I'm establishing my clique. You see how everything makes sense, what he just said? We didn't give you an emotional breakdown. We just applying textual criticism and using these glyphs. It makes sense what happened even in Noah days. Father was establishing his clique, his circle of separation. Napash. So that's what he was doing, family. Our Father don't need to be refreshed. Your Father can heal 1,000,000 and 1,000,000 more. He don't, our Abba that we serve, he don't need to be refreshed.
He is the power. He ain't got power up.
Father, if you need a break, what are we gonna do? I'm supposed to trust you to lead me across the Atlantic Ocean and get back home? You get tired midway and the waters come back. So family, this is part 7. This is Destroying Christian Dogma. And this is just an introduction of textual criticism, showing you that it's great. I know people take pride in, I can pull scriptures. I'm getting so well, I can't remember them anymore, but it's like, it don't matter because it's coming from a pagan language. The Hebraic thought is what matters. So people are opening the Bibles up, all praises. People are reading the Bibles, even Christians now, but we're telling them what you got inside those 66 books is not what the Hebrews were really saying. Does that make sense?
You remember whatever happened to that "What Would Jesus Do" movement?
Yeah. I just melted
One, Jesus wasn't teaching nothing from the New Testament.
at all. At all.
So if we're reading the New Testament and we can't align it with Torah, Tanakh, you ask what would Jesus do? It's not what you're talking about.
At all.
Where is it in the book?
I was hoping, I thought someone was going to catch it when you read that intro to Sirach. That intro to Sirach, he says that the law and the prophets have no little, he didn't say the Old Testament. That we brought that out, like these terms, Old and New Testament, have been given to you by a pagan named Tertullian. None of our ancestors, or even none of their first pagans who became Christian, they didn't say Old and New Testament. They said the law and the prophets, and then the apostles were the apostles. Then became the gospel. So this is the level we go through, family, trying to wake our people up and trying to give you confidence that this is the way. The law, statutes, and commandments are alive. We are a special people, and this book belongs to us. Any comments or questions before I yield?